What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and are you ready to set some intentions for this week? We got a pretty mild, we got a pretty active week this week. It's kind of spread out a little bit, but we got Venus that's moving into the fiery fires of Sag. Look at this world play. And then you got the sun that's entering into Scorpio. I know every Scorpio was just like, woo, it's that time. But before we get into that, if you're new to this channel, again, my name is Justin, and one of the things that I do on this channel is talk about the weekly transits, the cosmic chit chat that's going on up in the sky, and how we can work with these energies, what intentions that we can set in order to ascend towards our highest vibration, you know? And the week that I'm going to be covering is the week of October 17th through the 23rd, and let's get into this thing. Because on Jupiter Day, the 17th, at about 12:28 p.m., Venus is going to be entering into Sagittarius. Now, the nature of Venus is to magnetize. She's how we attract a lot of the resources and things that we need in order to create more beauty, more art, more. Venus's nature is, I feel, to just, really just improve the nature of this world. And for us to enjoy those things as well. It doesn't have to be just all hard work. Venus, she wants us to play. And when we talk about Sagittarius, their ruler is Big Papa, Jupiter, and their modality is the mutable sign. So they have mutable energy, has the ability to change and is very adaptable. Their element is fire, so there's that passion that comes through it, that energy that the fire brings, that inspiration. And then their gender is masculine, so there's this active nature that's happening. Now, this is a little tricky for Venus because Venus is one, she normally just kind of likes to sit back and kind of let things come to her. But this is one where I feel like if you're wanting things to change, if you notice that you have been attracting a lot of, while Venus was in her detriment in Scorpio, maybe they were attracting a lot of like tougher emotions. Maybe there were some things that were going on there. Now this Sag energy allows you to kind of evaporate that water and do some things that inspire you. When was the last time that you created something for yourself? Not when someone inspired you, but when you inspired you with something that you've done. Whether this like you finished a maybe building like a cabinet or like a shelf or a bookcase or something along those lines. You're just like, wow, I really did that. Or maybe you came up with like this, you solved this complex math equation. Like, look at my brain work. Like this is, I feel, a great time to go out there and do some new things, to get out of, especially if you've been feeling stuck in a rut. You go out and do these new things, and then Venus will attract more opportunities. Maybe you might make some new friends in the long run. You may discover a new area that you never would have thought to go before. Go be adventurous with Sag. Be willing to expand your mind, because again, their ruler is Jupiter, and who's retrograde right now in Gemini, and they'll be opposing one another. We'll talk about that once that actually happens. But I feel like this can be an invitation to look at where things, again, have just been kind of the same old stuff, where you just kind of got comfortable, and now we can just shift that energy somewhere else. So make the most of this time while Venus is in Sagittarius. I think this could be really fun for all of us to be, or for all of us in a sense. Now we got later in the week on a moon day, the 21st of October, at about 11:35 p.m., Mercury is going to be forming a trine with Saturn retrograde, and this is going to be happening at 13 degrees and 11 minutes. Mercury is in Scorpio, and Saturn is retrograde in Pisces. And I mention these degrees to see if you have any planets or points around these placements, because then this transit will be working with you more personally. You can set a very stronger intention towards this energy, so something to keep in mind of. But when you think about the trines are, they can be considered Jupiterian in nature. They bring about this new opportunities. They bring about this flow, this ease that comes with the trine energy. Now, Mercury is how we think, how we communicate. And if you've been noticing that you've been thinking about, again, that Scorpio energy, where I don't like to just focus on the tougher emotions that Scorpio can feel, because Scorpio can feel, is not just meant to be dark and gloomy and things as they maybe typically get painted as. Scorpio can feel one of great joy, can experience this fulfillment, this passion. You know, there's a range, and I feel like, but if you've been stuck maybe in the more kind of lower expressions of that, maybe you've been feeling like a hatred or an anger, depression, fear, anxiety, this, with it trining Saturn, this could have this kind of, right, you could have this sort of realization where it's like, you know what, I have been stuck in this whatever funk for a while, and now I'm seeing how it has maybe affected my home space, maybe how it's affected my workspace, my relationships, my creativity, my connection with spirit. And now you're understanding why this, really understanding the whole purpose of Saturn being in Pisces. Because Saturn only stays, he stays in the sign for about 2.5 years at a time, but once Saturn leaves Pisces, he won't be back there for another 30 years. So this is a very important point that you want to pay attention to when Saturn is moving through these signs, especially when we have a trine with Saturn, when we got some beneficial stuff, because Saturn was known as the greater malefic. And I don't feel like it's just because he's there to just keep you down and just like give you work, but he's there to show us that we have a responsibility that we have to take when we come on this human journey. And part of that is understanding when we get stuck in emotions, and when our emotions are making us more reactive as opposed to being proactive. And then we get to where Scorpio, where I feel Mercury and Scorpio can be very intuitive, very in touch with spirit, and very in things like that, very psychic energy. If your emotions are clouding that, we can misinterpret the signals and make some faulty moves that could have some long-term ramifications. So now this could be like understanding the importance of, maybe you needed to take more time to meditate. Maybe you need to take a moment before we just say the first thing that comes to our mind. Maybe we take a beat. And it's like let's say you have like a partner that's going through something. It's like, you know what? I need to take a minute and kind of breathe on this, to kind of maybe I need to go for a walk so we can talk about this in a more constructive way. And just being able to create that pause could even help the other person be like, oh, like, you know what? I like how they approach that. Let me check myself too. And I just feel like a lot of this could be a great reconciliatory type of energy, whether this be with a person or maybe even with yourself. Maybe you've been beating up on yourself for whatever reason because of whatever thing. But now you're just like, you know what? I'm going to show myself some grace. I'm going to give myself this. Just give myself this break and allow myself, I was feeling what I was feeling at the time, but this is what my emotions have taught me. Because emotions have their purpose. They're not meant to be where emotions are this bad thing. When you don't understand what's going on in the undercurrents of you, then they're just going to keep running you. And you're just going to keep making these impulsive things until the lesson gets hammered in. So work with this transit. I really feel like this one in particular can just really help us just be more mindful and really raise our consciousness and really bring about this sense of just emotional wisdom. I even just got a picture of the King of Cups in this, if you happen to follow tarot. So that might be something to look up, what the meaning of the King of Cups, even the Queen of Cups. Understanding just the water energy could be something where if you don't happen to have a lot of water in your chart, let's say as far as like planets there, when the planets are transiting through there, it's almost like you have water placement. You get to experience what it's like to have Mercury and Scorpio. I have Mercury in Leo natally, but it's like it gives you just an opportunity to see. That's why it squares my Mercury. Now I have to think about something differently, so just think about that as well. And that's another thing to think about too when we're talking about these transits. Some of you may have Mercury trine Saturn already. This may be an energy you're already familiar with. Granted, it may be happening in a different house, of course, but keep in mind this is not something that if you have this that you're unfamiliar with. So that could even be something too, forming a deeper relationship when we talk about these different aspects and things. Now, on Mars Day, the 22nd of October, at about 7:37 p.m., Venus is going to be forming we got another trine energy that's forming with the North Node. And Venus is at 6 degrees and 23 minutes, is in Sagittarius, and the North Node is in Aries. Now, when we're talking about this, the North Node is the dragon's head. this is where we're going forward to. This is going into uncharted territory. And keep in mind, when we talk about the North Node, we're going to talk about the South Node too, because they're always opposite one another. Now, the South Node is the dragon's tail. And you can think about this is where you've been. This is the areas that you're aware of, this house that this falls in, that you're getting familiar with this area. You're understanding that foundation and where you need to grow from that when we're going towards that dragon's head. And that would be, Venus would be forming a sextile with that dragon's tail. So there's an opportunity here to see where, okay, now I've learned this lesson, and now I am ready to aim towards something different. I am ready to kind of push myself further. And that's where I feel like that Venus in Sagittarius is attracting new opportunities, a new way to move the energy. Because Aries is their modality is the cardinal sign. So they're the initiators, or one of the initiators. And their element is fire. So again, that fiery, passionate energy, that masculine energy is their gender. So that there's that active thing. So if you've been wanting to explore what sobriety looks like, or if you're wanting to have more healthy boundaries in your relationship, if you want to travel to somewhere new, if you're wanting to pick up a new religion, or if you want to look at entertaining a new place of living, this would be a great time for that, to go put out that ad or respond to, maybe sign up for some things to get some notifications for the area you want to live in, or whatever this area may be pulling up for you. But if you work towards this thing, Venus is going to pull it, and then it'll help you get the resources that you need to get to where you want to go. So that would be this I really like where this week is kind of leading us here. And pay attention to any sort of insights that you get coming up with this next energy, because on the 23rd on a Mercury day, the 23rd of October, the sun is going to be moving into Scorpio. And by this time, I'll go ahead and say it. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, Scorpios. Scorpio suns. And if you know what, little sidebar, if you do have a birthday coming up here and you want to get a solar return chart done, down in the description box below, that's one of the services that I provide. So if you want to see what energies that you can intend for the year, where the sun is wanting to lead you, definitely sign up for that. But the sun is going to enter into Scorpio at about 3:15 p.m. And again, that's Pacific time. Now, when the sun is moving into the sign, you want to see where you have Scorpio by house, because either if you have this by, let's say, Placidus, then you may have, the sun may still be just lighting up that same house. But if you have it by whole sign, then the sun is moving into a brand new house, and it's going to be getting new insights for this area, because the sun is, you can think of it as like this is our light. This is our higher mind. This is where I feel the inspirations come in, where we get this urge to build. Oh, the sun just started peeking out right as I started talking about that. The sun, it shines a light and gives us those inspirations and things to start building our life even further, ascending more towards our divine light. And being in Scorpio, he's going to be under the rulership of Mars. And Mars rules Scorpio traditionally. Pluto rules them modern. So however you want to work with that. But I find with all of this, with Mars being in Cancer right now and the sun being in Scorpio, I feel that there can be, pay attention to any sort of intuitive nudges that come up for you. This is a time to really get deep within yourself. Doing some meditation practices would be great. I feel any sort of like art therapy, do any sort of things that get you in that emotional flow so that you can tune into tune into the undercurrents, because I feel when Scorpio is able to focus on ascending towards its truth and extending there's nothing that can get in Scorpio's way. But it all starts with a feeling. And I feel like this sun in Scorpio too can shine a light again on where maybe we've been stuck in something, that in order to get to that next step, we may need to revisit our relationship with those maybe lower kind of tougher emotions that I was talking about, that fear, anger, depression, things along those lines. And when we find healthy ways to process those energies, then it's just the insights start really kind of flooding in. So again, pay attention to what house this is lighting up for you, because the sun's going to be bringing in new downloads and new fresh inspirations for you. So But that's all I got for you this week. I really think a very exciting week. So work with these energies. And again, if you want to work with me. If you need a little assistance, work with those energies. Again, all these services that I provide are down in the description box below. And also, if you want to check out, if you want to work with the moon, I do more specifically on my other channel, the Chariot and Friends. I talk about where the moon is transiting, and I talk about the different signs and phases and all the things, all the things. So if that's something that interests you as well, or if you happen to have Cancer in one of your placements, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Saturn, Mars, North Node, South Node. Yeah, come on over. All that stuff's down there for you. But until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that consciousness and that vibration through the roof. And I will catch you on the next one, Mercury Day.